what we have done till now is looked at linguistics data in terms of feature structures, right? And the lexicon will have to be described in terms of feature structure. So all the features a lexical item has are given in terms of features and their values. Then we also formulated a principle called head feature principle, and then rules. In this, actually today's class, we will look at valence principle and the two kinds of agreement which we have been talking about: subject verb agreement and determiner noun agreement. Okay, the three rules which we discussed were head specifier rule, head complement rule, which is a revised one, and head adjunct rule, or head modifier rule. It also called head modifier rule, right? The head specifier rule basically combines the head with a specifier, and when head and specifier are combined, the mother node specifier value becomes empty, right? And the comps value, if there is any comps value here, that is carried to mother node. That's the head specifier rule. Similarly, when you look at complement rule, the complement rule actually the specifier value, in fact I have missed here the index here, which actually is identical with this. The A is a specifier here, the specifier has to be here. So I missed the index here. And the specifier value, whatever is there, that is preserved in the mother node. So when the head combines with complements 1 to n, the complements become null or empty list in the mother node. But what happens to the specifier node? Whatever is there in the specifier, that is preserved. What happens in my set specifier rule is complements value is preserved in the mother node. In the head complement rule, the specifier value is preserved. Whereas in head adjunct rule or head modifier rule, both specifier comp values are preserved. Both head, the specifier value and comps values are preserved in the head modifier rule. That's that's what the three rules. But these rules to work, we need to have a general principle. What we understand is this preserving has to be formulated in terms of principle. How do we do that? That we call valence principle. So valence principle preserves whatever we have specified in the three rules, three grammar rules. What does valence principle say? Unless the rule says otherwise, the mother specifier and comps values are identical to those of the head daughter. What do you mean by unless the rule says otherwise? It means that unless some grammar rule specifies, unless let's say there's a grammar rule which specifies that the comps value has to change or specifier value has to be changed. If you do not have such a rule, then both the mother's and the head daughter's values of must be identical, right? So in the previous rule we have seen the comps value here and the comps value has to be same. That cannot be changed. Whereas specifier value has to be changed. So this rule, head specifier rule, says specifier value has to change. We don't need to talk about comps value because by valence principle that says the mother's specifier and comps values are identical to those of the head daughter. Similarly, when you look at head complement rule, the complement's value changes, but specifier value doesn't change. So we don't need to specify that because by valence principle, the mother node's specifier value is identical with the head daughter's specifier value. Similarly, in head modifier rule, the values do not change, right? So we don't need to specify that values do not change, etc. It is the valence principle which mentions that. So if you consider this principle, valence principle, then the three rules which will be very simplified further now. How are we simplifying? Look at left hand side and the right hand side. We find only specifier value. We don't specify comps value. Because by valence principle, the comps value of the head daughter and the comps value of the mother daughter are same, unless it is specified. Because we haven't specified, it is the same. So the complement comps value here will be whatever comps value here. Similarly, specifier value is not given here because valence principle takes care of that. And look at modifier rules. We don't need to specify anything. So the specifier value and comps value, again in head modifier rules, do not change. So we don't need to specify. We'll just say phrase which has a head and there's a PP which modifies it. It can be any modifier. We are using a PP here. Okay. Let's see how these principles work in the form of a tree. Let's take a noun phrase, a book of poems. Book is the head daughter. Book is the head daughter. What does it need? It needs a specifier. The specifier has to be determiner. And then it needs complement. One complement which has to be PP. Of course, this is optional. We can also use a phrase like a book. This is a book, right? But book can also take a complement which is a PP. Right? We haven't mentioned that it is optional here, but it can be optional. So now the head noun is a word whose head value will be a noun. We haven't mentioned that here for simplicity. In fact, this noun is same here. It takes noun phrase here. Comps, in fact I have forgotten to mention the value here now. Comps, the PP, and specifier is D. When this head combines with a PP, what makes it to combine with this PP? The head complement rule. Head complement rule says it needs a head and there is a complement, 1, 1. So that's what it combines here. That's what happens here. The PP, which has to be a complement. The PP, we haven't detailed the PP. We can do it later. But what we need to understand now is the word book as a head daughter combines with a PP complement, which is identical now. So whatever PP which the book requires, that has to be there here. And then by head feature principle, head's value, that is noun here. Okay, let's let me write that here so that okay, right. Okay, now the head value noun is same as this by head feature principle, and the comps which is combined with PP, so it becomes null. Why does it become null? By our head complement rule. All the complements, whatever complements required for the head daughter are combined, then that should become, the mother daughter should have an empty list. That's what happens. And head complement rule doesn't specify anything about specifiers, so the valence principle applies. By valence principle, whatever head daughter has, that should be copied. So that is copied, right, by valence principle. Okay, so PP, the comps becomes empty because of head complement rule. Specifier remains as same because of valence principle. the value of head value of head daughter is same as the head value of the mother daughter is by head feature principle. Now two principles and one rule we have applied. One is HFP, another is valence principle, two principles, and then head complement rule. So by that rule, this is a legitimate phrase, right? And comps value is saturated. What is unsaturated? Specifier value is unsaturated. So this is not a complete phrase. A complete phrase is a saturated phrase. So now this phrase looks for a determiner, right? Determiner is the specifier which combines with this. What makes it to combine? By the head specifier rule says whatever head value, specifier value you have, if that phrase which has that value appears, you can combine them and the specifier value of mother daughter becomes null or empty list. That's what happens here. The specifier becomes null. Let's see that. Head, like if you have a word like give, then you will have two complements. All of them will combine here. And this has to become empty list. If only one NP combines, then the PP remains, then it becomes unsaturated. And it cannot combine with another phrase. Complement rule clearly says whatever complements you have, they have to be combined with the head. Okay? So you will never have a binary tree. Then once the specifier combines, by head specifier rule, the specifier value becomes empty. By valence principle, the comps value is preserved. By head feature principle, the value of the head value of head daughter is same as head value of mother node. So now this phrase is a saturated phrase and this is a complete phrase. Okay. Now the same thing can be done with a sentence. How? Let's take a verb like hit. Okay, you have a verb like hit here. How many complements does it need? It needs one complement, which can be a noun phrase. And it needs a specifier noun phrase. Okay, so hit has one complement, one specifier, and the head value is verb. Now, when this head daughter combines with a noun phrase here, not a PP, noun phrase here, then the comps value becomes null. Specifier value, which is an NP, remains. So what is the phrase? What is the head value here? Again, verb. So what is the phrase here? This phrase is nothing but verb phrase in the case of verb. A verb phrase is an unsaturated phrase because its specifier is still not combined with. The specifier is not combined with the phrase yet. So a verb phrase is unsaturated. When the subject noun phrase combines with this, the specifier value becomes null or empty, comps value is also empty, and then head value is same verb. So here the phrase will be verb phrase actually, but it is a sentence. Right? A sentence is nothing but a verb phrase now. A saturated verb phrase. In HPSG, it is a saturated verb phrase. So we see now a parallel structure between sentences and nouns. That's what we did even in Chomsky syntax. Same thing is happening here. What happens here is in a noun phrase, you have a nominal, we are saying. You had X bar structure there. We don't have X bar structure. We have nominal in the case of a noun phrase, which is unsaturated, and becomes saturated, becomes a noun phrase. In the case of a sentence, verb becomes a verb phrase, which is unsaturated, and becomes a sentence when it is saturated. we see only parallel structures, and the rules are simple now. Only 3 rules, whether it is a phrase like noun phrase, verb phrase, noun phrase, preposition phrase, or a adjective phrase, etc., or a sentence. Only these 3 rules with the 2 principles which we have seen now till now. Okay. Now look at the problem which we dealt with earlier. Agreement. We have been talking about this as an issue from the beginning. Let's look at subject-verb agreement. In English, what happens? Both subjects agree both in number and person. Till now, we have seen only number agreement, whatever we have seen in the previous videos, etc. So we have also got person agreement, which makes it complex. When you say person agreement, we need to have person feature. When you say number agreement, we have a number feature. Similarly, we need a person feature. So under AGR feature, you can have 2 features, person and number. But what is a person feature? Person can be first person, which can be a value, which makes a pronoun like I. I is first person, with of course number singular. And if person value is second, then it represents your pronouns you. And if the person value is third, then all the other and also other non-pronominal entities like names, John, Hyderabad, or even the noun phrase like the boy, the girl, they're all non-pronominal entities. And also he, she, it, they. All of them. That is, your third person pronouns he, she, it, and they. And also all non-pronominal entities are covered under third person. So person's value can be either first, second, or third. First represents your first person pronouns I and we. Second person pronouns represent singular you and plural you. Right? That's about the pronouns. But when you look at verbs, you have only 2-way division. Either it can be third person singular or non-third person singular. So S is the ending for 3P singular, third person singular. However, the only verb which has more forms is be. The verb be can have a first person singular. It can also have the R plural, and it can also have is. You can also have is form. Okay. Considering these now, AGR can be of 2 types: third singular or non-third singular. Third singular forms are all S forms. Non-third person singular, other forms. Right? So when you say third person singular, it has a feature gender. Non-third person singular is not characterized by gender. Only third person singular can have gender feature, which can be either masculine, feminine, or neuter. Remember, when I'm saying third singular, I'm not talking only about verbs. I'm also talking about other pronouns. Okay? So AGR feature can be third singular or non-third singular. How do you distinguish third singular from non-third singular? We distinguish it by a feature gender, which has 3 values. Right. With this background, let's see how pronouns can be represented in terms of feature structures. A third person pronouns, there are 3, He, the AGR value is 3 singular. Right? AGR value is 3 singular, third singular, which itself is a feature structure. Right? AGR value of a third person pronoun like he has third singular as the value, but it has a feature structure where there are 3 features: third person, number, gender are features, and values are third, singular, masculine respectively. Similarly, the word she, its AGR value is third singular, and third singular has three features: person, number, gender, third singular and feminine, and it, which has a neuter value. How about non-third person singular? Non-third person singular is any noun, any pronoun like they, let's say, which has AGR value non-third singular. And non-third singular has a feature structure, person, number, no gender value. Remember, gender feature is the characteristic of a third singular. So, non-third singular doesn't have that feature. So, you have person value third and plural is the value for number. And first person, you have this value for the word we, for the word you singular, for the word you plural. Right? Even a word like John will have what value? It is a third person singular, masculine, right? So you can have this. But if you, but masculine doesn't give an agreement with any verb, right? As a word, it has that. But when you are looking at as agreement, it has only person and number agreement, right? That is only the value for third singular for the verbs. But these are for pronouns and NPs. So you should make that distinction. What we are characterizing here is only for pronouns and noun phrases. So a word like John will appear like this. A word like Mary will have like this. Word like a cat or a phrase like a cat will have this, right? But with this kind of analysis, if you have a verb like walks, yeah, we've got here verb. What is that we need? If you remember, for walks we were specifying third singular earlier, but now for the verb, do we need to specify AGR value? We don't need to. We don't need to specify AGR value for a verb. Why? AGR value of a verb, actually, the form which you have walks or runs, etc., is basically to have agreement with the subject. What is the subject? Subject is nothing but a specifier of a verb. So if you look at a verb like walks, walks will have head value, verb, complements null, specifier, it has a specifier. Its specifier will have a head with a value noun and AGR third singular, and its specifier will not have any comps and specifier. Remember, this is the specifier value of the verb walks. This is not the complete description of the word walks. Okay? Look at that. How is it? If you have a description of the word walks, complete word, then this is the representation of the lexical item walks. Walks is the word whose head value is verb, right? Whose head value is verb. It has a specifier. Its specifier should have a feature structure with head value noun, AGR third singular, comps null and specifier null. Okay? So the subject of walk should be this. Whatever fulfills this feature structure can be the subject. So can we have a word like they as a subject of walks? No, because the word they is non-third singular, person third person, number plural. But what it needs is AGR third singular as a value, not non-third person singular. So whatever fits for specify this third singular will be its subject. So this can fit in, she can fit in, it can fit as a subject, right? Also a word like John can fit. Alright, noun John will have feature structure like this. John, head value noun, whose AGR value is third singular, comps value null and specific value null. Look at this the value feature structure of John and feature structure of specifier. They are same. So the word John can be the subject of works. Okay, the word John can be the subject of works. So remember, we haven't mentioned here the AGR feature structure. What is the AGR feature structure actually? It will be person third, number singular, gender masculine. That we haven't specified. Right? Even if you specify, it is okay with this, because the specifier of works doesn't specify whether it needs masculine or feminine or anything. It has to match only with the third singular. Whatever is third singular, it matches. Alright? So, it is the gender feature is underspecified here. That's why it can occur with, the word walks can occur with either he, she, it, or John, or Mary, or the cat. Now let's look at determiner noun agreement. It's a similar, on the similar lines actually, but let's look at it in detail. In English, determinants and nouns agree, we all know that. This dog, these dogs, and our dog. But this dogs is ungrammatical, and these dogs is ungrammatical, our dogs is ungrammatical, because this is singular, dogs is plural, these is plural, dog is singular, a is singular, dogs is plural. So in terms of number, there is agreement between determinant and noun. There is no person agreement here. There is only number agreement between determiner and noun. This can be accounted for by specifying a constraint. We need a constraint now. The constraint, we call it nominal specifier agreement. Remember nominal? What is a nominal? Nominal is an unsaturated phrase which doesn't have its specifier empty. It's non-empty specifier. That's a nominal. So, nominal and specifier. It's a specifier agreement. This is the constraint. What is the constraint? Head has AGR with some value, and the specifier of that word, whatever word, also has an AGR, has the same value. Right? If you want to know this clearly, let's go back to the tree here. You can see this is the nominal. So if I see the word noun, the head noun, in fact it's a feature structure here, because the book, the word is book. Book has AGR value here with person, with a number singular, which I haven't mentioned here. And the specifier also has value. So these two values, the head value and its specifier value, should be identical. If the word book is singular, the specifier has to be singular. What is the singular here? The determinant has to be singular. That is the constraint. The constraint is the AGR value of the head and the specifier AGR value of the specifier of a nominal should be identical. That is the nominal specifier agreement. Right? This will constrain this and it will avoid all ungrammatical phrases. Next, look at determiners. Determiners, some determiners occur with count nouns, some with non-count. We have a distinction in nouns in terms of count and non-count. So a noun like furniture is non-count. A word like chair is a count. So you have plural for it, whereas furniture will not have a plural. And similarly, the constraint here is the quantifiers or determiners like much, many, etc. They also co-occur with only certain kind of nouns. So much occurs with a noun count, whereas many occurs with count nouns. The, an article determiner, can occur with both count, like the chair, the chairs, and also noun count. So we have three distinctions here. Some occur with noun count, some occur with count, some occur with both. So what we do is we use a feature called count. Now count, can it be part of AGR? Under AGR, we considered number and person as features. Can we use count as part of AGR? No. We cannot do that. So the feature should not be part of AGR, right? As count is a feature that occurs only on determiners. Count is not part of AGR, but it's a part of head on par with AGR. So we have AGR, we have count feature which along with AGR. So what we do is we have two kinds of nouns. So we distinguish it by using plus or minus count. How do we do that? If we say plus count, it's count nouns. Minus count, it can be mass. So if you have head feature, similar like head here, there is a index 1 here. Here we used under specifier we used only AGR, but we are adding now count. Along with AGR, we are using count. Count is on par with AGR. It is not part of AGR. So whenever we specify for a noun, it's a specifier, we can specify both AGR and count plus features. So if you noun's feature structure will have head AGR feature, AGR with this, and count plus, we need a count plus specifier. What can be a count plus specifier? Much, many, much or many. Many is the count plus specifier. So if you are writing a lexical item for many, then you will have count plus in its value, AGR in its value, right? In its head value, you will have count value, count plus. Okay, so that's how it matches. That's how we take care of the agreement between count nouns and the quantifiers. Is that clear to you? Is that clear to you?
Sir, yeah, I have a doubt that if we have cardinals as determiners,
Yeah.
How do we specify that?
They also have a count plus as their feature, one of the features, right?
And in the AGR,
AGR will not have it.
Yes.
AGR will be only as a number, as a singular or
like,
plural, depending on the number.
if I say 2 dogs,
The word 2 will have AGR number plural and count plus,
oh, okay.
right? And that is what we need here. Count plus is there and AGR which matches with whatever. So you need to have a plural NP here which will match with that count. So your 2 will have AGR value in numbers plural, count plus. This is your 2, the word 2, and cats will have plural value here.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sir, so count plus or minus is for the noun or for the specifier that's modifying it?
the count plus or minus is for your determiners, quantifiers, determiners,
Okay,
etc. Okay. In the nouns place, actually noun is doesn't have any count or minus count. Its specifier says it needs a count plus or minus count. Like furniture.
So for the, what would we write?
For the, what will you write? That's a good question. For the, you don't specify this. It's underspecified.
Okay, sir.
Right? For count, it's for the word the, it's underspecified. For many, it is count plus. For much, it is count minus.
Yes, sir. For A and also it will be count plus.
That's right.
Yes.
Right? Okay. This actually is like what's happening here. You have nominal and the specifier agreement, head and specifier agreement, similar to your subject verb agreement. Right? This is similar to subject verb agreement. Whatever is specified in the specifier should occur with it. Similarly, for a verb phrase also, whatever is specified in the specifier has to be there as a subject. Right? So both kind of agreements, determinant nominal agreement and subject and verb agreement, are taken care of in a similar fashion. They are not two different types of agreement. Okay?
So when do we get count minus?
Count minus you get for much. Furniture. Right? Much. For the much lexical item, you will have head feature, AGR, and AGR number, possibly singular, and then count is minus.
What about some or
Some the number is plural, and for some it is count is underspecified because it can occur both some furniture and some chairs. It's like the.
Okay.
Right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think this is what. Yeah, right. That's all we have for today's. We have completed chapter 4. Basically, we have learned now very basic, a few basics of HPSG. What we have is we have lexicon in terms of feature structures. We have rules, which are like phrase structure rules, but not really phrase structure rules. It's only construction of a phrase, not all the phrase structure rules. Right? Like your X bar theory, you have these 3 rules. Right? This is like your X bar theory. You have X, X bar, XP. Right? See, this is your from X bar to XP, X to X bar, and this is your adjunct rule. In Chomsky adjunction, you have same node appears. Right? So these 3 rules are nothing but your X bar structure theory. On parallel with that. Then we have
Sir,
yes.
I have a question. So if a noun does not have a specifier, say a determiner, so then will we still have the norm stage, or will we directly go from phrase to word noun? And
yes. Yeah. Then if it doesn't need any specifier, which rule will apply? One of these 3 rules have to apply.
right, so we'll apply the head complement with the noun will have complements.
Yes.
And after that, my question is, will there be the norm stage, or will we directly go to the phrase level?
Yeah, I understand that. My question is now, if do any of these rules apply? No. None of these rules apply.
No.
Right? Because there are no rules which apply, automatically your valence principle apply, and mother node will have empty specifier, empty comps. Whenever you have all the both empty comps, empty specifier values, then it is a saturated phrase. Right?
Yeah,
So your
yeah.
noun itself is a noun phrase.
Okay, okay.
Right? So you don't need, but still your head feature principle applies because it's a same value which is carried.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so it's simply we are saying if you do not have any specifiers or any complements for any particular word, that is also a phrase. Right? In fact, Chomsky's X-bar theory didn't consider that. Later, in minimalism, later in his theory, he had that. All words become phrases without any middle structures. Actually. Okay. Right. Any other question?
Sir, in that slide where we said John walks, the specifier value was null for walks.
Yes.
So, yeah. So, why, sir? Isn't John the specifier?
No, yeah, we need to specify. No, here, this one is not John. This one is John.
Okay, sir.
This, what is the value of this? This. Right?
Okay.
This is actually John.
Okay, the one outside is John?
Yes. So it's a
Okay,
John
sir.
box. Okay, this specifier value here is empty because for John you don't need any specifier. For comms also you don't need any complements. You don't need any complements for John. So this is actually this one.
Okay, so that is a specifier and a complement for John, which is a specifier for walks.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right? Okay. So what we'll do is on Thursday I'll send you some practice so that you can be prepared for your test. Okay.
Sure, sir.
Okay then.
Okay, sir.